assessment right now for candidates for the batch 2 training for planning officers. Like I said before, we have institutionalized annual capacity building retreats for permanent secretaries where topical issues on governance are taken as case studies. We've had one on procurement, we've had another one on succession planning, we've done on culture orientation, and we will continue to have those retreats for permanent secretaries. It is also important to note that in addition to what the Office of the Head of Service is doing, we are also coordinating trainings at the MDA levels, because you know that the ministries have various professionals that they must also train. So we are coordinating, we are ensuring that they present their training plans for the year, and we want to make sure that these trainings get the needed results. We are discouraging trainings that go to Nasarawa State and insisting that all trainings now must be held at the PSIN so that we can monitor effectively and ensure that we get quality for even what the ministries are doing. The second pillar is the performance management system. You will all agree with me that you've heard over the years about the APA system and what the APA system is all about. Because we are not proud of the APA system, we thought that it's important to have a performance management system that actually rewards performance, and not one where you will just fill a form and submit, and one that is just for promotion alone. And so we have begun implementing an ideal performance management system. And various ministries, because this has been decentralized, various ministries are at different levels of implementation of this. It is worthy to note that some agencies have actually gone ahead of what we're doing in the ministries and have instituted performance management systems in their agencies. And we're working with them also. We're working with the Road Safety FRSC. They are actually our partners in this process, because they have worked on their own performance system and it is working very well. And we have also gone to study what these other agencies and states are doing so that we can implement it. So it's important for us to put this out there so that we will not think that we're trying to bring something new. Lagos State has done very well. Ekiti State is also working on their performance management system. And so the center, the federal, cannot be left behind. The objectives of APA in the public service, like I said before, though noble at the beginning, but the implementation was very defective. And so the country was denied of the benefits that were derivable from a productive and performance output-driven framework within which most public services in the world now operate. And so the journey began also in 2021, where the Mr. President had a retreat on the 9 priority areas, and the institutional performance management was measured effectively and it was open. And he gave the directive that the Office of the Head of Service of the Federation should institutionalize an employee performance management system in the public service to replace the APA. And so we got energized in the FSIP to make sure we're able to achieve this. And so what have we done so far? We've incorporated the employee performance management into FSIP. You can see that it has its own very prominent pillar. And then we started training, because this is something that is new in service. And we started by training officers to get used to the idea of what the new performance management system is all about. So we've trained 1,900 officers in the phase one, and this cuts across all ministries in the phase 1 and 2 trainings. We also now have a policy, PMS policy, and guidelines that we have developed, circulated, and we've also had each MDA, for us to monitor performance, each officer must have his or her own job objective. So we had seminars with the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, where every MDA was taught how to develop, and every individual how to develop their job, how to do the job objective setting. And what this entails is that you look at the organizational objective, and from that organizational objective, every civil servant must derive his or her own targets, indicators from the organizational objectives. This will also give every civil servant a sense of belonging, that they are contributing towards the overall objective of the organization. Also, we've done the PMS guidelines have been incorporated in the revised public service rules, which have been approved by FEC. We have also carried out service-wide development of standard operating procedures. We started from the Office of the Head of Service, where we developed our own standard operating procedures. Each department has their own standard operating procedures, and because the staff of the Office of the Head of Service were involved in this, they were the ones that now went out to all the ministries to train the staff of the other ministries on developing standard operating procedures. So for now, every MDA, every department of every MDA has their own standard operating procedures. We also, after that, we have the Office of the Head of Service has also gone ahead to be ISO certified. And by this week, the Office of the Head of Service will be declared as ISO 9001-2015 certified. This is so that we can also assess our own compliance with our standards. The ISO means that since you have standards, they will come and see if what you're actually doing aligns with your SOPs. And so we've also advised that all MDAs should go on to the ISO certification. What we are planning is that by the grace of God, the whole of the civil service will become ISO certified. Like I said before, the implementation of the PMS has been cascaded to ministries, with the permanent secretaries as top drivers in their MDAs. And the directors of human resource management have also been sensitized to commence the process in their respective ministries. And the Office of the Head of Service is monitoring what they are doing in the MDAs. And anytime they have hitches, they call on us, and we go and see how to help and how to unravel whatever problems that they have. We are also working on the full automation of the PMS system. We don't want to go back to the paper-based forms. So we're telling MDAs that from the beginning, the PMS system should be automated so that once whatever it is, and why this is also important, is that we want to ensure and we want to make sure the standards are maintained, and that whatever it is they're doing in the MDAs, there's a dashboard in the Office of the Head of Service where we can see and ensure that the proper thing is done. We also have put in place modalities so that when there's a staff that does not agree with what his immediate superior has assessed, they can come to the Office of the Head of Service and we will see it. What is the assessment? And we can call both of them together and ensure that there's an agreement. And this will be done quarterly. There will be quarterly reports on each individual, so that at the first quarter, second quarter, you are not doing very well. You would know, it will be clear to you that you are not doing very well. And we're also, it's in the PSR, where it says that if you attempt promotion 3 times and you don't make it, then you would leave the service. So we are going to reintroduce that also. It's already in the public service rules, but it hasn't been energized. That will be energized. And so now promotion will not be automatic. The people that the Office of the Head of Service will recommend for promotion now will be those that have performed very well. So if you have not performed well, you will not be recommended to the Federal Civil Service Commission for promotion. So that will also limit the problem of vacancies that we have every year. In trying to achieve the laudable goals of our new performance management system, we are working with the Commonwealth Secretariat. We have had several meetings and lectures with them. We had an online workshop where all permanent secretaries and all directors of all directors in service were asked to attend an online meeting organized by the Commonwealth Secretariat. And this was so that we would understand what commitments for results would be using the general accepted principles, and also we understood what government performance management system, the whole of government, because it involves institutional and the employee part. We also had, like I said, a 5-day workshop with the Commonwealth Secretariat, and it was very, very instructive, because we were now able to see how the institutional performance management can be linked with the employee performance management in the whole of government performance management system, which must be driven from the top to the bottom in government. And after the workshop was when we insisted that MDAs should cascade the knowledge from the Secretariat to the ministries, and quite a number of MDs have had retreats after we had the meeting. Now, the third pillar is the integrated personnel and payroll information system. But this is not the whole of the IPPIS. It's important for me to make the clarification that there are 2 parts to the IPPIS. There's a payroll, which the Accountant General's office runs, and then there's the human resources part, which the Office of the Head of Service deals with. However, at inception, the implementation of the IPPIS project focused mainly on payroll. which was not bad in itself because that also helped to block a lot of financial leakages from high personnel costs and also by the increased number of ghost workers that were on the payroll at that time. However, a gap was created which also caused a lot of problems. And so in 2013, the Office of the Head of Service of the Federation commenced activities towards the implementation of the human resource module of the IPPIS with a view of breaching the gap. Through these activities, which is being coordinated by the IPPIS service-wide department, the office has achieved quite a lot. The first one what we did at first is that we discovered that newly recruited officers by the Civil Service Commission and those that were not recruited were being put on the IPPIS. And we had a number of cases where people that were not recruited by the Civil Service Commission were seen on the payroll of government. And so on the 1st of March 2021, we instituted a committee on enrollment of newly recruited civil servants into the IPPIs. And this step was decisive to control the mechanisms and correct the existing anomalies of the process. Before now, it was the Civil Service Commission that were enrolling new entrants onto IPPIs, and we said that was wrong. The Federal Civil Service Commission does not have any role in putting officers on IPPIs, and so the Office of the Head of Service put out a circular to say that what the Civil Service Commission should do is to employ and then send the list to the Office of the Head of Service. Now it is the Office of the Head of Service that will ensure that the people that were recruited were the people that we need, and also that they were recruited according to the waiver that was given by the Office of the Head of Service before they are now enrolled on the IPPIS. And not only payroll enrollment, we also do human resource enrollment. We ensure that we get all their certificates in addition to the birth certificates. At inception, we scan all those documents and put on the system so that those cannot be changed anymore. For avoidance of doubt, because there's a lot of confusion on the process of waivers and recruitment in the public service. And so we had a meeting, the three major bodies that deal with recruitment, the Office of the Head of Service, the Budget Office of the Federation, and the Federal Character Commission had a meeting. The Civil Service Commission was in attendance at that meeting, and we streamlined the process for recruitment. And we came out with a circular that actually tells us the process. Your first port of call, any agency of government that wants to recruit, the first port of call is the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, where you get a waiver for employment. And because there's an embargo on employment, that is scrutinized. It is only the exceptions that Mr. President has given that we look at and grant waivers to. And then once you get a waiver from the Office of the Head of Service, you now go to Budget Office of the Federation for a financial clearance to ensure that there's enough money to pay the new entrants. And then the third step is to now go to the Federal Character Commission for a compliance certificate. So those are the three things that everybody needs for employment. And so the committee has been doing a lot of work to ensure that we don't have ghost workers on our IPPIS. And in the course of their work, they detected a total of 1,618 officers whose letters of employment were either fake or illegal. Thank you. And in addition to that, we also suspended 874 officers from the IPPIS platform because they had not updated their records and had not gone through verification of their records. And so those officers were removed and assumed that they were ghost workers because we gave a period of about 2 years for officers to go and update their records on the IPPIS platform. And so those who didn't go to do that, we assumed they were ghost workers. However, some of them have come up to say for one reason or the other they couldn't, and we examine why they couldn't, and when the committee thinks that the reasons are genuine enough, they are put back, they are made to go through the verification, and then they are put back on the platform, on the IPPIS platform. At the end of 2021, the Federal Civil Service Commission carried out a verification audit of all employment letters of everybody that is on service, and they wanted to compare the names on the employment letters with what they had in their own system. And they discovered that 3,657 workers did not present themselves for verification. So that means either they didn't have genuine letters, or they disappeared and they didn't want to be caught. And so we referred all the 3,065 workers to the ICPC and also stopped their salaries. In addition, the office has completed the IPPIS verification exercises for the core MDs. That means every civil servant as at today that works in a core ministry has been verified. We went to the 6 geopolitical zones to ensure that we're able to capture everybody, and as at today, we have verified 61,446 officers in the core MDs. So that means that anybody that is not part of this has been excluded and the salaries have been stopped. Although, let me also say that some people that either were on study leave outside of the country or were on foreign service at that time when the verifications were done in their MDs are coming up, and we're looking at it, we're taking each case as it comes to verify. But the important thing is that most of the people that were put out of IPPIs have not even come. Only about less than 10% have come back to complain that their salaries were stopped. So we've been able to save government a lot of money from the verification of the core MDs. Meanwhile, the verification exercises for staff in non-core NDAs, that is in the parastatals and agencies, we have started, and we hope that we've actually gone round, is the mopping up exercise we're doing now. So by the grace of God, by the end of this year, we would have a clear and clean data on every public service servant, every public servant that the government is paying. The third pillar is the pillar on innovation. The fourth pillar is the pillar on innovation. For the first time in service, innovation is taking a very prominent place in the Federal Civil Service. And the Office of the Head of Service of the Federation is putting up structures in place to effectively support and sustain innovation in the system. In this regard, we have established a service innovation department in the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, and we also have service innovation divisions in the departments of reform coordination of all MDs. This is so that when civil servants have innovative ideas, it can be brought up to the fore. What we discovered before now is that young civil servants have innovative ideas, but unfortunately those ideas don't come up. Somehow within the system, those ideas are stepped on and we don't get to see them. And so the divisions in the reform coordination departments of all MDs are supposed to collate what the MDs are doing so that we can get innovations from civil servants. The innovation department also provides a platform for promoting and harnessing high-impact transformative solutions for the benefit of the service, with major focus on reducing waste, cutting costs of governance, and enhancing revenue generation. We've had 2 editions of the Federal Civil Service Innovation Challenge. The first one was held between June and August of 2020. And then a second edition was held in December 2021 with a theme: generate revenue, reduce cost of governance in the Federal Civil Service. The star prize for the last edition was a huge sum of 5 million naira. And you can see the proud officer that you need her. And we are also committed. And she didn't only get this check, she got her money in her account. We are committed to rewarding ingenuity and excellence in service so as to boost the morale of officers to enable them aspire to greater heights. And the competition does not just end here. Whatever ideas they bring up, we look at, the innovation department looks at it, and then we implement those ideas in service. So it is not just a competition for competition's sake, it's a competition to harness ideas. And once these ideas come, we try to implement those ideas to improve our service. The 5th pillar is digitalization of our content in the civil service. In our modest quest towards the actualization of a technology-driven civil service, we explored and initiated partnerships for the deployment of an ECM platform. Hence, the Office of the Head of Service, in collaboration with Africa Initiative for Governance, AIG, which is an independent, not-for-profit organization focused on driving public sector transformation in Africa, commenced work on preparing the service for the deployment of the solution. Achievements. It's also important for us to note that one of the key outcomes of this is that we have a culture change joint project with AIG to deliver digitalization in the office of the head of service. And we meet twice a month to ensure that we are on course in the development of the ECM solution. And we started the process to digitalization by reviewing what the ECMS operations and processes in the office of the head of service and in all MDAs. We also did a review of documented functional and technical requirements. What do we need for us to be able to achieve this? And then we did our SOPs, we developed, we issued a request for proposal for the selection of a vendor. And I am happy to say that in the office of the head of service, we've actually selected a vendor which AIG is paying for on behalf of the office of the head of service, and the vendor has started work using the SOPs that we developed. Just last week, we were told that out of the 357 processes identified in the office of the head of service, they've been able to capture over 100 as at date, and they will capture all the processes. And so we are hoping that by the end of this year, we will not receive paper documents or files in the office of the head of service anymore. And prior to this, we have digitized all our documents in the office of the head of service. We've scanned all the files, we've scanned the personnel files, we've scanned the program files. We did all this last year prior to the digitalization. And I think it was on Tuesday, we had a sensitization workshop for other MDAs. We invited the directors, reform coordination, ICT, human resource management of all the 35 MDAs to come and see what we have done in the office of the head of service, and also to develop a roadmap for replication at the MDA levels, because we discovered that most of the MDAs had put procurement of a vendor before SOPs or before any other thing, and we know that that will create a lot of problems for them. And so we had that workshop, and now we have a framework and step-by-step guidelines as to what each MDA must do to also get to the stage we in the office of the head of service have gotten to. We're hopeful that by the end of 2023, almost all MDs will have complied fully, and we would have gone digital in service. We also recognize that there are pockets of digitalization of some processes, but what we want to do is to ensure that in addition to those processes, our workflow is also automated, so that wherever you are in the world, anytime you have work to do, you can do the work and send back to the next person. Staff welfare is the sixth pillar. And this is basically enhancing value proposition for civil servants. And it is a key strategic objective of the strategic plan. And in pursuance of this, the office has initiated quite a number of activities. What we have tried to drive, the most important thing for us is to ensure that civil servants are able to acquire a comfortable accommodation before they retire. That is very, very important to us. And we doing this through the federal government loans board. Before now, the loans board was open to all public servants, military and paramilitary. But in the last year, we have insisted that the loans board concentrate on civil servants, because these other people have other avenues. The civil servants only have the loans board. And so that is what we have been doing based on the annual budgets that we get from the loans board. We have been able to facilitate mortgage loans for only 139 civil servants. We also were able to commission 2 housing estates, which we delivered to civil servants. And also, we have some 2 projects, 2 big housing projects. We are working with PSI. We know the land they have in PSI is enormous. So we're trying to cordon off a small part of it for housing for civil servants within this Public Service Institute of Nigeria. That has gone a long way. I know that by the end of this year we would have commissioned and work would have started. The problem we're having is making sure the houses are affordable. That is the biggest issue. That is why we're struggling and we're going slowly. But working with the loans board, we've said what we're going to do is to target the new entrants into service who have a longer period to stay, to repay. Because once you only have 10, 15 years to go, it's difficult to get a loan to pay. And the limits of the loan has also been increased because of the economic situation that we have right now. In addition, we have a 5-hectare land in Gwagwalada, which was allocated to the fish by the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing. And we're actually set for groundbreaking ceremony there right now. We actually wanted to do the groundbreaking ceremony during the Civil Service Week, but because of some logistics, we couldn't achieve that. But the land is ready. We have also chosen the developers that will work. We have agreed on the amount they're going to charge the civil servants, and we're ready to go now. We also, because of the problem of funding or the Fish and Federal Government Loans Board, we set up a committee to look for alternative sources of funding and to explore ways of finding alternative funding for the sustainability of housing for civil servants. The committee has identified 2 possible sources, has submitted their report, and we're looking on how to go ahead with those suggestions. And I'm sure that will improve the availability of mortgage loans to civil servants. We're also working on the Federal Civil Service Bus Scheme. This scheme is aimed at providing affordable transportation for federal civil servants in the FCT in collaboration with private sector operators. As at today, we have 20 high-capacity buses which have been deployed in the pilot phase, and they are running. And there was a flag off of this phase on the 21st of June 2022. Let me also say that these buses would, after the pilot phase, this particular provider would go on to provide 40 buses. He has actually imported up to 40 buses for this scheme, and the buses are running on gas just to ensure that we are able to bring the cost down. We're also ensuring that it is not a cash-based transportation system. That means that you go to the Department of Human Resources, purchase a card, and you can purchase a card for 1 week. Once you get your salary, You can purchase a card for 1 week, for 1 month, and you keep deducting. That is also to discourage people that are not civil servants from using, because we want to ensure that it is just civil servants that are enjoying what we have put in place. We also have the Entrepreneurship Program in place for civil servants. We've discovered that civil servants after retirement really don't know what to do with themselves, and that is not a good thing. We also discovered that when you want to start an agric business at the point of retirement, it's already too late. So the agripreneurship program is for serving officers, and then we have another program that is for prospective retirees. We're working with the Bank of Agric, the Federal Ministry of Agric, Water Resources, CBN, to ensure that the civil servants take farming seriously, and not just farming. If you don't want to do the farming, we've also put it in the PSR that farming and its value chain. So you can decide which part of the value chain you are interested in. And the interesting thing is that farming now has gone beyond owning a large expanse of land. There are so many civil servants that are farming yam in their backyard in sacks, that have small poultries at their backyard, and so it is working. And we're ensuring that all civil servants should do something in addition to the work of being a civil servant. So we've worked and developed curriculum for all the programs. We have exhibition farms already that are working with us, where they would go and receive training and things. So that we're doing, and it's going very well. We're also rewarding, we also have a reward and recognition scheme in service. And this scheme is aimed at motivating workers towards increased productivity by linking high performance to rewards. The scheme has been institutionalized in MDAs. Before now, what used to happen was that it was only during the civil service week that civil servants are being recognized. But as at last year, we insisted that every MDA must have a recognition and award week in their own MDA. They must recognize people in their own MDA, and then they will send us names of the best officer they have to the office of the head of service, and those are the ones that we recognize during the civil service week. And this year we recognized civil servants with a bang. We had outstanding awardees that were recognized by Mr. President, and we also had a star prize this year, which was a mini SUV car, and it was donated by stakeholders from the insurance sector. And the winner of the car is a level 14 officer from the Ministry of Police Affairs. You can see him there standing beside the Minister of FCT that represented Mr. President at the award. In addition, we also got an endowment fund for the celebrations, whereby each officer that has been sent to the office of the head of service from the various MDs as best performing civil servants from the MDs got 500,000 naira each, and this was donated by one of our private sector partners, the Ike Imokode Foundation. And he started this year and says he will keep going. It's a foundation, and so every year the top civil servants from all MDs will get ₦500,000. So we are also looking at the welfare of civil servants by ensuring that they have group life insurance cover. We have been doing that in the last 2 years. And not only that, we've also been looking at officers that died when there was no cover, because sometimes we don't get money for the insurance cover, but when there's no cover, we collate the list of civil servants that died during that period, and we also pay them their entitlements. Last year, we got 2.5 billion in 2020, and which we paid to the beneficiaries. And this year, we're also paying over 500 beneficiaries for with another 2.5 billion that we got from the Ministry of Finance. We are hoping that if this continues this way, in another 4-5 years, we would have been done with the backlog and there wouldn't be arrears to pay anymore. Conclusion, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I wish to reiterate our commitment to continue to pay great attention to the development and welfare of all civil servants through their training, retraining, tooling, and retooling, as well as providing necessary facilities through some of the laudable initiatives, though some of the laudable initiatives have long-term implementation, but we are beginning to see effects, and we can see that what we are doing is contributing to the transformation of the federal civil service. At this juncture, I'd like to once again acknowledge and appreciate all permanent secretaries in the office of the head of service, and indeed permanent secretaries service-wide. Without them, we wouldn't have been able to achieve what we've been able to achieve so far. I must not leave out the directors, who are actually the workhorses in the service. They have all done very, very well, and I appreciate them for the work that they are doing. But I want to also promise that we will not rest on our oars, but with greater vigor, we will rise to the challenge of evolving a new civil service of our dreams. For want of time, I just want to talk briefly on culture change, and you can see that when the office of the head of service is wearing a new look. This is the reception in the office of the head of service, and we also are working towards, can I see the workstations, transforming the workstations, the offices of, that was when it was work in progress, the offices. Okay. We are also transforming the offices, the workstations of civil servants. We are transforming not only the minds of the civil servants, but even the spaces where they walk into. We have, I don't think he has a slide, but we've started work on the workstations also. And so I was saying that it's important for me to talk on culture change and effective communication, which have been identified as key enablers that will facilitate the successful implementation of the 6 pillars of the FCIP 25. The service attaches much importance to culture change as a key enabler for value reorientation, as well as the reversal of negative public perception about the service. On the other hand, in the course of stock taking of previous reforms in the service, we were also able to identify that the total absence or poor implementation of a poor communication strategy impeded the successful implementation of these reforms. Therefore, in developing FCIP 25, the office embarked on wide stakeholder engagement for buy-in and participation. We are also conscious of the role the media plays as critical segments of the community of stakeholders. Hence, we'll be looking forward to the usual overwhelming support from esteemed operators of the fourth estate of the realm to give the necessary support by sensitizing citizens and other stakeholders on the new policy thrust of government in service. As watchdogs and gatekeepers in society, it's important that you continue to see the service you render as an opportunity to safeguard the stability and sustainability of the programs of government, which are designed to bring about development and secure the well-being of Nigerians. Therefore, it is hoped that this ongoing partnership with the Office of the Head of Service will be sustained and enhanced in the interest of the nation. Before I go to sit, I'll just like us all to view a 5-minute video on the new civil service. Thank you for your attention.
There may be times when we are asked to do things we know we shouldn't do, but if we fail to fulfill our duty in an ethical manner and with integrity, the public is not just when we stick to our work.
This is the network service of the NTA. We now join our outside broadcast crew for a live telecast. Please stay tuned.
Welcome to Port Harcourt, the River State capital. We are here at the State Government House in Port Harcourt. You are witnessing the signing of contract between the River State government and Julius Berger PLC for the construction of the 11th and 12th flyover projects embarked upon by the River State government. On behalf of the outside broadcast crew, I'm Kingsley Amadri. Welcome you to this program. The River State government in the last 4 years has embarked on a number of projects to deepen development in the state. This current signing of contract between the state government and the Julius Berger Nigerian PLC will bring to the total number of flyover projects to 12, undertaken by the government of Nyesom Wike in River State, the essence of which the government has said repeatedly is to enhance the infrastructural foundation of the state and also deepen development across River State. In addition to the signing of this contract, the state government is also awarding contract for the dualization of Azikiwe Ilabuchi roads. Of course, the objective is to open up the state to enhance traffic flow and also further deepen business and commercial activities within the city center. From the economic sector to the education sector, agriculture to education, the government has made various landmark impact by way of the project's development. In the area of infrastructure, the government has consistently insisted on quality of every project it embarks upon in the state. That, of course, also informed the rationale for the state government adopting Julius Berger for the construction of the 12 flyovers so far in the state. In the last 4 years, the flyover projects, many of which are almost at the advanced level of completion, whereas some have been put to use. The Garrison flyover, otherwise known as Orochiri, and the traffic light flyovers have all been open to traffic. Not also forgetting the Romola flyover, which has also been open to traffic. For those of you who may have visited Port Harcourt for a long time, a visit to the state will no doubt reveal the economic value of this project. Expectedly, the Rumokuta flyover, which contract is being signed today alongside that of NTA Choba Road by Location Junction, is equally intended to help ease off traffic at these two critical locations, which, of course, usually witness high volume of traffic, especially in the early hours and the late evening hours of the day. Come to talk about the value this government has created. Many keen watchers of development in the state gave the government a thumbs up for these various projects that has, of course, transformed the landscape of Port Harcourt, the River State capital. Julius Berger Nigerian PLC, which has in the last 4 years embarked on the execution of these projects, have no doubt delivered the project in line with the project specification.
Your Excellency, the line gave a pitch. Managing Director to the Federal Nigeria PLC, Nigeria of the last region.
His Excellency, the Executive Governor of River State, Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of River State, Observers River State, members, River State House of Assembly, members, River State Executive Council, ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to stand on already established protocol. We are here today to sign contracts for 3 newly contracts, 2 new flyovers with completion period of 10 months and a road dualization contract with a completion period of 6 months, which brings the total number of flyovers in River State constructed under His Excellency's administration to 12. We have set already a record of this. We have set already a record with 10 flyovers, but now you beat your own record with 12 flyovers. I think that is a big challenge, and you will manage it. We have completed already and commissioned 6 flyovers together, 3 more at near completion stage, and 1 ongoing, which shows the confidence the River State government has shown in Julius Berger and Nigeria PLC. At this point, I want to, on behalf of the Board and Executive Management of Julius Berger, thank His Excellency, the Governor of River State, for trusting Julius Berger's expertise. Thank you, and God bless the Lord.
Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor, the Chairman of our party, the Chairman of Elders Forum, and leaders of the state that are here, members of the State Review Council, special advisors, the Managing Director of Julius Berger and members of his team, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a special day in the life of this administration. special in the sense that, first of all, we make promise, not just making promise, we fulfill the promises we have made. So many people may be wondering, how can an administration that has barely 10 months to go is still awarding contracts to this level and to one of the most reputable companies in this country, that's Julius Berger. I've said before, not to say our services to the people will end on May 29th, 2023. And so for us, the services to the people until we buy out in May 29, 2023. And Rivers State and Rivers people deserve the best they can get. And for a state like this that are giving us everything with the support the state has given to us, we must give them the best quality that they deserve. And so when we made promise of constructing the 11th and 12th flyovers, most people thought, oh, it's the normal politics. You see, the problem we have in this country today is that, well, some politicians or citizens have allowed politicians to use them. We make promises we don't fulfill. And yet we still go back to them to canvass for votes. And the same citizens will not understand that these people have used them. They will still close their eyes and vote for the wrong people. But I'm aware that my people in Rivers State will not make that mistake by voting for people who have nothing to contribute. Wherever you find yourself, you must make impact. If you find yourself at the federal level, you must make an impact for your people to know that, yes, I'm coming back home with something from the federal level. If you find yourself at the state level, either in lawmaking or in the executive position, you must make impact so that posterity and history will judge you that you are one of those who contributed to the development of this state. So we're very proud that this administration, all the promises we have made, we have kept to it. We have finished paying for the first phase of the Trans-Calabar. We have finished paying for the dualization of Bori to Kono. We have finished paying for the other people flyover. We are almost finished paying for the dualization of the first phase of the Abuja Road. So it gives us joy. Some people would have said, why are you doing this? Why not go with the money? How much money can you make? What can you amass against the interests of the people? So for us, we're very happy, and that anybody who's working with this administration can carry his head on shoulder high that we have made a difference as far as administration governance is concerned. Very soon we want to start off the commission of projects. It has never happened in the history of this country. We brought a law school here and we told them that we're going to build it in 1 year's time. Less than 1 year we have completed it. It's a record breaking. No matter how people may hate us, this is part of the problem we're having. All these things we're doing, some people somewhere may not be happy, but it's not our business. We're not elected to make them happy. We're elected to make Rivers people happy. Instead of them to come and ask us questions, how are we doing this so they can emulate us? They're only dying in silence and having high blood pressure. We'll make sure they continue to have high blood pressure. You know? So this state must be guided. We cannot allow people who don't have interest on this state to take over the reins of this affairs of the state. We will not allow that. People who have looted the treasury of this state, clearly. Yeah, they want to bring their partners in crime to come and be governor of this state. Rivers people will not allow that. We will not allow that. They can run helter-skelter to stop their arraignment, but they must be arraigned, they must be tried. What Rivers people will hear, Rivers people will be shocked in life. what the former minister, the former governor, what he did in this state with his partner, Toyekon. If they like, let them go to let them bring 500 senior advocates. They will face the trial. So Nigerians will hear, rivers people will see how this state was looted. And then they come outside and begin to pretend. And then in order to cover it, you still want to bring the same person who participated in the looting of this state by their cronies company. We will not agree to that. We will not. Anybody can be governor, but not those who have identified that have looted the state. If we can do 12 flyovers from 2019 to now, which is little amount of money we are getting, but the previous administration had a lot of money, we would have concentrated in other things. But we are still doing within the city to change the landscape of the city. So I want to sincerely thank the deputy governor and the team, and also thank Julius Berger. But again, now the contract says for Ilabuchi, it's 6 months. And we are paying you 80%. We would have paid you 100%, but when we looked at the law, we said the law will catch us up. Somebody can come out tomorrow now. He pays 100% because he has interest. You know. But my interest is that the job should be finished and quality job given to the people. So Julius Berger, I don't want to hear the rain was too much. There's rain now. You are collecting 80%. So whatever you can do, don't come and tell me we are disturbed by rain. Rain didn't disturb you from collecting our money. If you know rain will disturb you, don't take our money. Don't take our money. But I promise you, the 3 projects must go on simultaneously. And luckily, the next governor is here. I don't know where anybody is going to contest with him, but the next governor is here. So we are aware. Everything the state is doing. So we have agreed 6 months and 10 months. Whatever you can do, go and mobilize all your equipment in those states that are not paying you. Bring them here. Employ more of our people so that the job can even finish before 10 months. I know you have the capacity to do it. So MD, I'm happy you are here. We're paying you 2 billion every month. I don't know how many states can survive it. 2 billion every month you are taking away from what? I'm not saying that those who are kidnappers, it's not your money, it's the Julius Berger money. So they don't know going to kidnap you that they are giving you 2 billion every month. So every month you are collecting 2 billion from us. There's no need of writing us a letter, look, we have not been paid for this milestone. And we don't want variation, it doesn't come in. Variation does not come in because you are paid when due. At the 4th of every month, you go and they give you 2 billion. At the 4th of every month, they give you 2 billion. So don't give us excuses.